Adam hurried along the empty road. It was dark, with only the full moon to guide him. His parents had set him to make a delivery, and had run late thanks to a heavy rain. He didn't get back on the road until after sunset. These were becoming more common as he grew. It was alright, and he had awaited it. The jangle of coin was in his pocket. He was tired, and wished to get home soon. The neighing drew his attention to the side of the road. Running amidst an empty meadow was a pure white horse. It glistened in the moon's light. A gorgeous beast. He looked back at the boy, almost calling to him. There was already a saddle on it. Adam called out for the rider, but got no reply. It must have run off, he thought, in a weak attempt to hide his laziness. He was sure that he should take it back to the house, rather than let it run about in the night. Stepping off the road, he moved over to the horse. It stood still as he took hold of the fine reins and pulled himself into the saddle. No sooner than he settled in, it took off. A hard gallop. The two sped off into the dark. Adam looked on as everything around him turned into a blur. Welcome to Mythical Phylogeny Adventures. I'm your guide, Jason. Today, we turn our attention to a monstrous horse, known to kidnap travelers and whisk them away. Let's see if we can find a way to protect yourself. Cheval Mallet comes from rural France, particularly in the western edge known as Brittany, near Lac de Grenouille. The exact date of its origins are debatable, but it has circulated in oral stories for centuries. It is said to appear to lone travelers in the dead of night. They are tired and want a quick trip home. Your feet are sore, you're yawning and stumbling, and you can't see too well in the night. There are dozens of excuses people come up with, yet they all end the same. They attempt to mount Cheval Mallet, which then runs away, and they are never seen again, except for a few exceptions, which are having holy emblems or having the coin to pay the fare. Cheval Mallet is described as a horse, either pure white or pure black, depending on the version. Oh, and it is a beautiful horse. Well groomed and taken care of. Not a wild horse, but definitely one that belongs to someone. It always has a saddle and bridle, as if someone was ready to take it for a ride. You are left to believe that it had run away from its stable. Those are not low-class equipment though. Its saddle is said to be beautiful and well made. Everything about this horse is enticing. It coaxes a person onto it, and then runs, but is faster than a normal horse, and the rider can't dismount. They're bound in place. It will vanish with the sunrise. Usually, it will be found on abandoned and poorly traveled country roads, or hanging out in meadows. It will never enter a city. Some stories claim that it holds illusion-based powers to alter the appearance and world around it to bring in its victims. Cheval Mallet is meant as a warning about taking shortcuts and lazy attempts. Don't seek to cheat through problems. So what is this thing? Well, we have actually covered a similar horse in part here. The Kelpie. Is this a different version of it? Or do we have convergent evolution going on? The Kelpie is described as a blackish horse, which lures people to touch it, then dives into the water to drown its victims. But there is another coming from around the France and Switzerland border. It is known as Cheval Mallet. It hangs out near graveyards, fields, and waterways. Gavin was known to target young women. Oh, and then we have Le Drup in southern France's Gard region. This one is known to particularly kidnap children. This variant is able to elongate itself to fit up to 100 children on its back before running away with them. Okay, It seems that there are a rather large number of these horses known for kidnapping people at night in France. Are these all the same creature? Yes, that is highly likely. At the bare minimum, they all stem from the same original creature. What about the Kelpie? Could Cheval Mallet just be a Kelpie? Well, Cheval Gavon in Le Drap was said to hang out near waterways. So perhaps Lac de Grand Loup is a lake. It seems to line up quite well. So we have a potential variation of the Kelpie here. The Kelpie is a shapeshifter, but Cheval Mallet has illusionary powers, so a little different. Close relative, at least. Now, how would its illusionary powers work? I talked about it a bit before, but we can't actually work out how illusion spells work. Illusion spells work by manipulating one of your senses. Its illusions take effect from a distance. That removes touch and taste. Smell could be difficult. There is no mention of it making noises, which removes hearing. That leaves sight. Sight works off of light passing through the lenses and responding to the retina. This then goes to the occipital lobe, which processes visual input. Now, we need to get people to get onto a strange and unknown horse. That means disrupting your judgment. That comes from the frontal lobe. That means a strong force to achieve this. This could explain why the world seems to blur due to complete dysfunction of the occipital lobe and the visual cortex. But influencing the occipital lobe could create the feeling of it being beautiful easier. But how does it do this? Its power would need to be light-based. That would be more impactful at night with low light levels. Your eyes have two kinds of light-absorbing cells, the rods and cones. The rods are better for detecting movement, and the cones focus on color. But night vision tends to resort on decreased color, which means more use of the rods. That is what it'll need to target. Is it bioluminescent? There isn't enough evidence to promote this. But if it can instead reflect the light of the moon and through it the sun, it may work. It'll need to have reflective skin or hair on its body if it isn't bioluminescent. Yet, there is one more thing it needs to do. When you sit on it, you can't get off. Why? Well, it'll need some way to grab you. The most likely option will be some form of entangling hair to grab hold of your clothes and hold you in place. The easiest way to make this work would be some form of Velcro system with small barbs with its hairs that can hold you in place. These barb-shaped hairs should be clear to help reflect the light. Of course, there is another issue here. Its eyes are well documented as to having an intelligent look to it, a brilliant look to them. It could lay the illusion spell using its eyes, but that's just more speculation. So, why does the daylight cause it to disappear? Well, if it is using photoreceptors in the eye to place the illusion, an increase of light could easily drown out the spell. Now, we also have the saddle it wears. This isn't something a horse normally has, but it was another similarity to the Kelpie. It is possible that its saddle is part of its illusion. If it is part of its body, that isn't too complicated. Just bolster up the tissue around it. The Le Drap variant is said to stretch its body. Well, it may not. It may in fact be that long to fit 100 children on its back at once. It is just using the illusion to appear as a normal horse's size. The last thing we need to address are its few weaknesses. Holy symbols can cause it to release you and get it to stop. Funny enough, you see something similar again with the Kelpie. For that one, a bridle placed in its mouth with crosses on it will place the Kelpie under your command. For Cheval Mallet, the sources aren't the most clear-cut. Some say that Saint Benedict was able to compel it to serve him. This is done with holy symbols and reciting scriptures. We also have the fact that it will release you if you provide it with the coins appropriate for service. That supports that it is intelligent. But what would it need the coins for? That there isn't enough information to guess at. There is one last thing I haven't touched on. It can travel a great distance quickly. Now, due to the influences of its illusion, we can't determine how far. Only that the people don't return. Some say that Cheval Mallet can take them to other realms. The dream realm or the underworld both seem possible. Perhaps its coins are useful there. How do you protect yourself from Cheval Mallet? Well, avoid the places it hangs out. Remote roads, meadows, in the dead of night. I mean, you shouldn't be wandering around too much in the middle of the night. That is just common sense. Now, of course, you get caught outside in the dead of night. You're traveling and things waylay you. Bad weather, obstructions on the road. You slept in a bit late. One thing or another happens, and you end up taking too long on your trip. What do you do then? Well, if you see a random horse all alone in the middle of the night, do not approach it. I don't care how gorgeous the horse is. Do not approach it. Do not get on it, no matter what. Next, you need to check. A good daylight spell will expose it. If not, a strong light spell. Potentially, a fire spell could be powerful enough. That would require testing to find out. If it does work, you can find out what it really looks like. If this is a normal horse, I need to apologize. But you're safe, right? That is the important thing. Yet, now you know it is Cheval Mallet. And that means picking weapons. This thing is fast. You will need weapons that you can use quick. Bows and arrows, and a quick sword, and you will be good. But a lightning spell is going to be the best option. That should be able to match its speed. It will attempt to run away, so you won't get many shots. I hope you have quick reflexes. If not, a slowing spell may be invaluable to stop it. But let's assume that it tricked you, and you are now being whisked away into the night. Who knows where? You need to get off quick. How? Do you have a cross or other such emblem? Pull it out. If not, press your memory on scriptures. I know it is a hectic time, but try and focus. Recall the scriptures and say them. You may make mistakes, but don't quit. Light magic may break the hold depending on how it works. If not, fire should sever the connection, but you might burn yourself in the act. If not, count your coins. Better to lose your money than your life, correct? But you are an adventurer. Dangerous quests are your bread and butter. And it has made a mistake. You know how to fight. It is holding you in place. You can't be bucked off. Draw your blade and fight close quarters from its back. If not, try to reach the throat. It will be tough but doable. A place where it won't be able to kick and bite you. The only thing it can do is roll over. Cheval Mallet is a quick foe. Its main method of entrapment can also be its greatest weakness. You should seek to counter it. Light and the lack of stupidity are your allies here. That is why I'm giving this malicious horse a 3 of 10 for difficulty. Stay on your guard. If you defeat it, you get the meat of course, and you could make some glue, yet the best option is if you can force it under your control. That is where you'll get the greatest advantage. It is fast. If you need to get someplace, it can get you there. Not just the mortal realm, but the dream and underworld are open to you. And to get to other towns and quests quick? If you are smart, you can employ its illusions. How well you can integrate will depend on how you build a rapport with it. This will take time and training, but it is doable. Adam struggled against the horse. The world was a blur. He couldn't see where he was going. Yet he had a thought, a weak one, driven by instinct. Yet it was there. He muttered an incantation, one his mother had driven into him. Flames burst into his hands. It was weak in the rushing wind, but he forced himself to keep it going. It was hard, and the flames sputtered. Still he forced it to the horse's neck. It let out a scream. By the light, Cheval Mallet bucked. Its hold on Adam broke, and he rolled off. A little bruised, but alive. That was something, right? Brushing himself off, he looked about. He couldn't have gotten too far. That he was sure. Home should be nearby. Hopefully. Sadly, he didn't know where he was. But it was dark, and best to wait for the morning before venturing forth. Lord, his mother would be livid when he got home. Cheval Mallet is a tricky foe, which is best avoided when out on the road. Thank you for watching, adventurers. Please return next time for the Bugbear. Until then, I'll see you on the roads.